We are the Power Platform duo who specialise in Microsoft Power Platform.
So, Alex, we had a request from Damien Bird. I saw basically a post on LinkedIn that he mentioned he was going to dazzle around with DevOps, maybe a bit of Power Automate, and do something with it. That's when I mentioned you've done some stuff with Power Automate, you've done some stuff with DevOps. So if you could just tell us what you've achieved.
Yeah, so the original use case was to track projects within a Power App. So you would go through your sales, design, dev, and test, and you would have a high-level overview with a Power App, and then you'd have your requirements and your standards, development processes in DevOps. And then the idea is when a project hits a certain stage, it will then automatically create a project in DevOps or Teams or however. We did it so then you have one DevOps site for a solution, and then each project is then a team and an area within a DevOps project.
So can you show us and talk us through how you achieved it?
Yeah. So DevOps has got an API.
So is that through HTTP requests? So if you were to show us on...
Yeah, so if we go down here, the app is actually run off of Dataverse. So there's a trigger coming in, it then passes an ID. It then goes through, collects the information it needs from Dataverse. It then initializes a path, and it goes through, creates various fields. It then goes and gets the iteration. When you create a project in DevOps, it creates a whole lot of things automatically, which you don't get through the API.
Right.
So therefore, when you create a project, for example, it doesn't create the iterations, it doesn't create the teams behind it, the default ones. So then you have to create the project, create everything, and then there's certain settings you have to get in place before you set up the next bit, and it gets quite complicated.
So as well as the API, you've also used a standard DevOps connector alongside doing some more advanced stuff with the APIs and the graph calls, etc.
Yeah, so with the standard DevOps connector, you're basically connecting to the API.
Ah, perfect.
Right? So therefore you just use your URL.
It's creating all the iterations, it's creating a team, and then it's going to actually populate any work items, or does it?
So it goes in, creates the default iteration, because then your project manager will then go in, create the iterations, and your business analysts or devs will then create your requirements. Yeah, so if we go down here, this was a bit with Teams itself. So then the idea is when the project hits that stage, it will then create a channel for that project or a team for that project, add in the various tabs to that Teams, and then therefore you have everything you need. So within your Teams you can have chats with people, you have your DevOps boards and everything all just in one place, all automatically built out.
And is this something you're happy to upload to a Git repository, some kind of version for the guest users?
Yes.
We can probably do a template, right?
Yeah, I think we can look at uploading something.
Yeah. Okay. How good has it been in practice?
Yeah, so it's great at creating it. This is still a work in progress, coming down to the bottom. I'm still working on some bits here. But going through the actual functionality, it creates the iterations, creates the team in there. It creates standard queries. So, for example, we have a query that pulls out all the requirements that we then share with clients to then sign off. So that's a standard query that we would have someone come in and have to create every single time, and it's exactly the same query. So it creates a number of queries there. It then creates the dashboard as well. One thing to note with queries and dashboards, the documentation on the API is not great. The best way of doing it is to actually create it in a DevOps board and then use a get. That isn't quite the same as what it should be. So I ended up almost guessing and getting it right on what the structure should be and how it works. But it's essentially a JSON file, but it needs that right information in there to create it. Within the boards, we then set up so that's your Kanban board. You then set up a file lane. We have blocked and we have important. And what will happen is with blocked, it will turn the cards red, and with important it will turn them orange, and that is then set up automatically, so you don't have to manually go into each project and do that. At the end here we've got pre-populated work items. You'll have a risk register. Risk registers tend to be exactly the same project on project, within reason. You'll have some outliers. So those risks are pre-populated in the DevOps board, and so therefore the team can go in and review them.
So by doing what you've managed to achieve here, how much time do you think is being saved on average per project?
So before, when I knew what I was doing and running through it, it took me 20-30 minutes. But that's assuming you have one person doing it who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
The great thing about this is you then have consistency across all of your projects, right? And so therefore, if you're pulling off risk reporting, for example, you'll have the same risks across all your projects.
Sort of building up that centre of excellence within your project scope. So how long would this flow generally take to run? So from 30 minutes to what? A couple of minutes?
Yeah, like 1 or 2 minutes. It's not a lot. I mean, the main benefit is that consistency. What I've also done within the pre-populated work items, the risks, because not all projects are the same, within Dataverse I've actually created a hierarchy.
Nice.
So you say, so for example, if we create a Power Apps project, it will have the risks from Power Apps, it will have the risks from Power Platform, the risks from a IT project, but it won't have the custom dev risks.
Okay.
Right? And so it'll run up that tree collecting all the risks.
Yeah, thank you for showing us that.
You're very welcome.
Please like, subscribe and click on the bell icon. Let us know in the comments below what you'd like to see in the future.